As I see people implement these principles in how they think about their health, and they're doing incredible things to get more healthy. And as I see people implement these principles within their marriages, we had a woman, and I think she might even be on here today, and I will never forget this. She drove 3.5 hours to a muster that we were hosting in Austin, Texas 3 years ago. She wasn't an attendee, but she showed up with her book that she had read. And with tears in her eyes, she shook Leif and Jocko's hand and she said that this book saved my marriage. Now, the truth of it is that she saved her marriage. She implemented the principles that she talked about. Her and her husband worked together to implement these principles within their relationship, and they were able to pull themselves off of the brink of divorce. And I can't imagine that that's been easy since, but they're still happily married today and raising their family, and these principles helped her to get to where she needed to be. I know without a doubt that these principles have the potential to drive incredible impact within your lives. And I want to tell another quick story. This was a couple years ago at a muster event, and I had mentioned to Leif and Jocko, I said, hey, what do you guys think about at some point doing like a women's panel or a women's brunch as a part of these conferences? And Jocko answered kind of quickly and said, well, we don't need to do that because these principles apply to everyone, whether you're man, woman, high level business leaders, all the way down to frontline employees who are just managing themselves, whether it's in business, combat, or life, these principles apply everywhere. And I said, okay. And I moved on. When I got back to my room that night, to be honest, I had a little sense of defensiveness because I started to feel like, no, that's not right. Because he doesn't understand what I deal with as a woman. He doesn't understand what women that I know deal with in business. He doesn't understand what it's like, the challenges that we face, the imbalance that we deal with at home, the challenges we face in business and being underestimated by our male counterparts. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And it didn't really sit well with me. And I was a little frustrated. But the next day I went and I listened to the presentation, these principles that I had heard and read about dozens of times before. And I listened to him. And as I listened to the presentation, it hit me that Jocko was 100% correct. He was absolutely right. Because he wasn't telling me that he understood what we were dealing with. He wasn't negating the challenges that we're facing. He wasn't talking about the differences between what he deals with in leadership versus what I deal with in leadership. What he said was, which I didn't hear at the time, was that these principles apply to everyone. And he was right. Because the challenges that we face as women in business might be different from that of our male counterparts, but the solution to those challenges and the way that we manage those challenges and overcome those challenges is through the principles of extreme ownership, through taking ownership of everything that we do, everything within our world, ownership of the problems and the solutions to those issues, and implementing the laws of combat and cultivating these mindsets for victory that we just talked about.